So special guest in studio, Rita Lowman, Pilot Bank. She's the COO, and she's also an author. Welcome in.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here to share a little bit about the book that I've just written, and it was published. We actually released this week, so we'll get into that a little bit as we talk further.
Excellent. Great stuff. Live from iHeart. Let's go ahead and bring Tara Richter back into the conversation. So what else are you seeing? I know you got some events coming up too, right?
Well, we have Rita's book signing event coming up on December 17th. It's going to be at Three Birds Tavern, which is in St. Pete. That's downtown St. Pete, right?
Well, it's right off of downtown at 1492 4th Street North.
Okay, and it's going to be on a Saturday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. So anyone who's here not doing anything, stop on by, grab a copy of Rita's book because they're going fast already. She's got like 50 people RSVP'd.
We have over 50 RSVP'd, and it's going to be a fun afternoon. We'll have some refreshments, photography, so you can capture the afternoon. So we really are excited. We thank Robin King for hosting this for us, who is the owner of Three Birds Tavern.
Yeah, it should be a really fun time. So, and I'll be there. I'll bring some copies of my magazines if anyone wants to grab one.
Very cool. Yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So let me just share a little bit about the concept. Once I put it down on paper, it became very therapeutic for me because, again, my life, I've been in banking 40 years, and my life has been consumed with that. I have a true passion for banking. But along the way, I learned a number of lessons, both when I was growing up. I came from a very modest background and did not necessarily realize what I didn't have, but I knew I really wanted to do something that made me make a difference in someone else's life. Mm-hmm. And so therefore I really worked in the banking industry, came to Florida in '83. My husband was transferred here, went to work for NCMB, and just grew tremendously because I never said no to an opportunity. My children were in 8 different schools the first 8 years of their life, which is quite a bit to move your family and your children, but it really helped me grow, and it helped them grow too. And both my boys are now, of course, grown, and I just had the pleasure of visiting one of them. He's a diplomat over in South Africa, in Mozambique. And so to see their success makes me realize that I didn't necessarily do the wrong things by being a career-oriented mom. And a lot of times people worry about that, and they also worry about, well, I might not have the same qualifications as that person sitting next to me. You know what? That's okay. You can work and you can learn as you continue to grow. And that's what I tried to share with people in my book, some of the obstacles that I had and some of the really highlights in my life. And 2 highlights being, one was I took a company public with a whole team. It wasn't me by myself by any means. And that was really exciting, but also working for one of the USA's largest banks in the United States. And we did a number of things. I did 21 transitions throughout my career, and that's been a lot of fun, turning banks around, and then most recently becoming the chair-elect of the Florida Bankers Association, only the 3rd woman in 130 years. So I'm really proud of that too, Brandon.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. That's awesome, Rita. If you just joined us, Rita Lowman, she's an author, and she's also the current Pilot Bank Chief Operating Officer as well. And her book, From the Farm to the Boardroom, Leadership Lessons. And yeah, great story there. And, plowing her way, through the banking industry. I love that. And, as a career mom, I think that's something to speak to right now is a follow-up question is that, and obviously personal development, kind of came to mind when you talked about that. But, when you're a single mom or single dad even, and you're out there and, you're focused on your career, but at the same time, you kind of, have a little bit of guilt feel in the back of your mind. You're like, oh, what could I be doing more for my children? Why don't you speak to that point a little bit? Because I think a lot of that's going to resonate with our listeners right now.
Well, I was very fortunate because, again, I've been married for over 45 years, but my husband and I both had careers. For 7 years of our life, we lived in separate cities, and because we both were growing. And one of the things that I learned early on is that, yes, you may have to miss some of the things your children are doing, but do not miss those major events. Mm-hmm. And I still believe in that today, and I share with my associates, family comes first. Yes, what you do at the bank's very important, but I want you to have that quality family time, and I do believe in that. Do I believe that during my career, my children they made sacrifices for their mom? Yeah, sometimes they did. We were doing a transition, and I had the kids with me, and we would actually convert a bank over the weekend, and they were doing things to help. But you know what? That built character.
Sure.
And I'm really, pleased that we had that opportunity to do it together, and they were able to see what hard work ethics has and what it develops for you and your character and your life.
Yeah, that's right. Adversity is the best university. And in many cases, I don't believe it's aptitude. I think it's attitude.
Absolutely.
It's the attitude that's going to lead you down that path.
I agree. And, we talk about the word assertive and aggressive. And I am an assertive woman. I know that. I'm not aggressive. I don't like that tone. I'm not a boss. I'm a manager and a leader. And I think that's very important. And what I love sharing with people is the fact that it's okay to be assertive. It's okay to be out in front and ask for that opportunity. But also, you need to know what you've learned from when you haven't been as successful as you would like to have been in something. Sure. And how can you turn that around? I know that in the Florida Bankers Association, the first time that I wanted to run for chair, I did not make it. But you know what? I didn't let that stop me. I knew I wanted to be able to have that and give something back to the Florida bankers. And that's what we do. We go to D.C. Once a month and walk the halls and really help in the legislative component of banking in Florida and throughout the United States. So you keep that passion and you keep growing with that passion.
Yeah, that's great, Rita. It's, there's so many things, when you think about the previous comments as well as personal development. Personal development is so key. We talk about this a lot on the show. And I like to, I enjoy personal development, first of all, especially these days. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in school, I look back, I was somewhat of a slower reader, I think, because my mind was wandering into football and girls or whatever it was, right? So, now you plug in an earphone, you go for a jog, you work out in the gym, you do what Tony Robbins calls no extra time, net time, and you're able to enjoy these great audiobooks that people put together, these awesome, ideas and innovative business strategies and life strategies as well. 4-hour work week is an awesome example of how to utilize geographic arbitrage and live a millionaire's life, all these different ideas. But personal development I look at as a race.
Absolutely. And one of the things you just mentioned, work week, I've had managers that have said, oh, let's put in more hours and more hours. And what does that do for you? What you need to do is be able to be very productive in the time that you're there. And what I have found is that if you end up putting aside all of the non-important things and you really focus on what needs to be done, you're going to be productive and you're going to be able to take that next step and still make it to that 7:00 game for your child.
Yeah.
And I always share with people, look at what you have in front of you and then make a list. I'm still from old school. I do make a list so that I can make sure I can accomplish what I need to. And if it's not accomplished, I don't forget it.
Well, that's the best school. I think that's the best school. We're coming up on a break here, but yeah, it's kind of what a lot of the sales gurus talk about as the vital few. You determine what you're great at. What are your top 3 functions that you need to focus on and eliminate the rest? And it's what Warren Buffett attributes his success to. Bill Gates, they say, hey, listen, I learned how to say no more than I say yes now. So you focus on what you're great at, and it's what they call the vital few. So yeah, great point. And I love the excitement and the energy. And so from the farm to the boardroom, leadership lessons, author Rita Lowman. Well, hey, great show.
I want
to thank Tara Richter Publishing for coming in studio. I want to thank Rita Lowman, Pilot Bank's Chief Operating Officer, easy for me to say, author, as well as our expert contributors, William.
Have you always wanted to write a book? Do you have a manuscript that's been rejected time and time again by a traditional publishing house? Then you're in luck. Richter Publishing will make your dreams of becoming a published author a reality. Contact us today for your free 30-minute phone consultation. Go to www.richterpublishing.com. That's RICHTER publishing.com. And click on the Contact Us tab to schedule your session.